Hello and welcome to the office of Dave. Um, really, I'm just gonna spew out some thoughts, see what people think, and I've got a lot of things on my mind. Um, Everything from thoughts on the dark arts to thoughts on my mind and the power of the mind and what the mind is capable of. Here we go. Uh, First off, I don't believe in limits, not in the slightest. Okay? I think the mind is truly capable of anything. Uh, Takes a lot of introspection and study, concentration, work on oneself to realize that sort of thing. We're constantly taught from birth to death that only certain things are possible and we're only capable of so much, and that our entire lives have a line from beginning to end, and there's too much influence, too much dogma, too much indoctrination, too many things that are accepted to the point of brainwashing. And I'm talking about religion's influence on everything. Everything. Even when you don't think it's there, it's still prevalent. That's the indoctrination part, okay? Not real, forcing you to submit to something greater than yourself, when in truth, you are the greatest thing. You are the God of your universe. You are a God, bound in flesh. Many of these things are realizations that come only after death. And should we realize them now and realize what that means and the potential behind it, okay, to expand our minds, open our eyes, see truth. Truth is really the end result here. It's an endless search. That's how I got into the dark arts or dark sorcery or whatever you want to call it. Okay? And no, it's not inherently evil. There is a capability and a possibility for evil within what I do and what I believe. But that's all on the person. That's very subjective. See, and I'm not really going to talk about balance either, because I believe balance is kind of an illusion. But with that said, when it comes to any sort of mind expanding thing, okay, when you cast off religion and you go into the spiritual, you find yourself thinking a little differently. Yes, there are light workers and dark workers, and they call it the left hand path or the right hand path. And I have a feeling and a belief that the path to truth and true power resides in them both being used at the same time. Coming up, I was surrounded by light workers. I never felt right. Never ever felt right. I felt out of place. I felt like this was not for me. And so I went searching for the truth. And for me, that meant looking into what anyone would consider to be forbidden knowledge. Many times, what is considered to be forbidden is also equated with what is evil, um, which is completely wrong. What I've found most of the time when it comes to things that are considered forbidden is that it's just what those in power don't want you to know. And these truths are out there. Now, mind you, my own experience, my own study, my own scholarly way is very subjective. It's very subjective. A lot of people find their way here in many different ways. Some take the dark path their whole life, finding out the truths of the forbidden knowledge. And there's several books that were considered banned and forbidden, dangerous. Nothing is dangerous. Alright. The only thing that I have found is any sort of side effect from the dark path. It hurts a little. But that's part of the work you put in. It's not easy. It's never been meant to be easy. There's no such thing as signing your soul away and getting everything you ever wanted. Never ask a spirit to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. You have to be willing to make those sacrifices, to do the work, to do the legwork, to spend the time, read the books, do the rituals, dive into your mind, find out who you are. A lot of that comes with pain, lots of pain. A lot of people out there really don't like who they are, and they don't even know it. Once you accept who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, then you can move on to greater things. We are told over and over again that we can't do this or can't do that. There's nothing that can't be done. Hard work, placing yourself in the right situations, being opportunistic. These are all traits of a great dark sorcerer. And it is my belief that some of the most successful people in the world, I'm not going to get into conspiracies about dumb things like Illuminati and stuff like that. But the most successful people in the world got into their own head, accepted who they are and what they stood for, and pushed forward, upward and onward. Never satisfied. Never be satisfied. Remember, If you are content in mediocrity, you may as well lay down and die. Because where you are and what you are doing is all you will ever be. Contentment is death, plain and simple. Moving on a little, for those interested and mind you, I've been asked many, many times, and I've been at this for many years. I have done this for a long, long time. I'm a lot older than I look, and I have experienced more than people 4 times my age. I've traveled the world. I have spoken to numerous people, religious leaders, spiritual masters. I have read every book on the subject. Nearly. Some new ones are quite good. Um, but there are several questions I'm asked, usually by those who have ignited the spark of interest or have had the spark of interest ignited. All right, and that comes from wanting to break away from the dogmatic norm that many people find themselves trapped in. Many people. It is my mission in life to open eyes and open minds. That's a painful process for a lot of people. But if they're willing to do it, rewards are great. Quite great. Like how to start, for instance. Okay? To start, first you need that spark. Then, you kind of need to get into your own head and ask yourself a lot of questions. What have I been doing with my life? What interests me? What truth do I seek from this universe? From there are a number of books that exist that are great for any beginner. Now, mind you, myself, when I started, I didn't start in any beginner books. I dove in head first, right into the material. I'm hesitant. Well, no, I'll start. First, I read the Goetia and the several keys of Solomon, several books attributed to him. Fascinating. But the system I found to be a little bit offensive in a way to the spirits. And mind you, what is discussed in that book can be called spirits. It is more of a slave master system, while I believe in an honor respect system. Treat them just as if you would treat any other living being. Don't order them about. You'll get much more out of them. It was also a heavy influence on my life, a book called The Necronomicon by Simon. Say what you will about its origins. There is something to that book. Every single time I have found myself lost or wondering, I read it and I'm off in a new direction. It has guided me to study several cultures around the world. I can make an unbroken line from Mesopotamia to now, with all the religions and cultures and thought processes that have gone on through time because of the Necronomicon. It constantly calls me back to it. I'm also asked about what possible dreams or visions or whispers could mean. That is subjective. And subjective means that the person themselves needs to figure it out, interpret what you hear, what you see, what you feel, what you smell. It's calling, it is, those sorts of things stem from a part of oneself. It is a reflection of the person. They need to see what in themselves they are seeing. It is, that is the very nature of it. You yourself, your inner monologue, possibly even your daemon, okay, which could be attributed to guardian angels or demons or spirits or ancestor work, okay. Something inside of you is trying to tell you something about what you are either currently doing or what is to come. It's up to you to interpret it. I think I give no credence to the thousands of books that have been written about dream interpretation or vision interpretation. It is entirely subjective. That is, unless that is unless you're going into, like, astral projection, or sending your mind to other places and seeing things and then cooperating with the various other people without speaking about it to begin with, and then it becomes objective, but that's actually quite rare. It's actually quite rare. Um, hmm, I think I've touched on quite a few interesting things for my first video, for the beginning. If you are interested in more, let's talk.